Good day, grade 8 and 9. We're going to look at law 3 and law 4. When it comes to law 3, right, in law 3 we have a base of a to the power n, and outside the bracket there's power m there. So what is happening there, guys? This m that is outside here, it multiplies the power of the base, that the power that is inside of the base. So what is going to happen there? So you're going to multiply the n with the m, so it's going to be n times m. Right? Okay, let me put it like this. It's going to be n times m, right? So that's law 3. So let's take an example and use a number. So we have 2 to the power 5, and we have 10 outside there. So what's going to happen? That 5 multiplies with the 10. You just put the base of 5 and then you say, 5 times 10, which is going to be 2 to the power 50. Simple as that. So number 2, let's say we have 6 to the power 2, and then we have 4 there. So what's going to happen there? That 2 multiplies the 4 there. So you put the base there, which is 6, and then it's going to be 2 times 4, which is going to be 6 to the power 8. Right? That's law 4. Law 3. That's law 3. And let's take the last example. Let's say we have 3 to the power 5, and then we close the bracket, and then 3 there, the power of 3. So you put the base 3 and then you multiply the powers there. So it's going to be 5 times 3, which is going to be 3 to the power 15. Now let's look at law 4. Law 4, it's when you have a times b to the power n outside there. So what's going to happen there? So since you have the power of 1 there and the power of 1, so you say a to the power 1, which is this one, multiply by n, which is this n, right? And then you times, and then you have b to the power 1, you multiply by this n. So b to the power 1 multiplied by n, so it's going to be a to the power n multiplied by b to the power n. This only happens when there's a multiplication there. It doesn't happen if you have a negative or you have a positive there or a division there, right? Let's take an example. Let's take an example now. So let's say we have 3 to the power 4. Okay, let's just say 3 for now, times by b, no, not b, times by 5, all to the power 7. So what are we going to do here? We'll say 3 to the power 1, which is this one, and then we multiply by what? By 7. And then we'll multiply by 7, and then we say times 5 to the power 1, there's a 1 there, and then that 1 you multiply by the outside 7 there. So it's going to be 3 to the power 7 times by 5 to the power 7. Right? Now let's look at it this way now. Let's look at it this way. If we have 2 to the power 2 times by 5 to the power 4, all to the power 3. So now what are we going to do? We'll say 2 to the power 2, and this 2 will multiply the outside power there with times by 3, and then we have 5 to the power 4, and then that 4 will multiply by 3 as well there. So we're going to have 2 to the power 6 multiplied by 5 to the power 12, right? Let's look at this one now. Let's look at this one. If we have 3 to the power 4, we times by 5 to the power 5, and then all to the power 7. So we'll put the 3 to the power 4. That power will multiply with that outside power times by 7 times, and then we have 5 to the power 5, we times by what? By 7 as well. So it's going to be 3 to the power 28 times by 5 to the power 35. You leave it like that. Let's look at number 4 now. Let's look at number 4. Number 4, if we have now 3 to the power 4 times by 4 to the power 4 all to the power 2. So this is going to be 3 to the power 4 times by what? 2. And then times. And then this 4 to the power 4, the power you multiply by what? By 2. So this is going to be 3 to the power 8 times by 4 to the power 8. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5. We can write it this way. We can say 8 to the power 3 times, we can put a dot, 15 to the power 4 all to the power 3. So what we can do here, we put the 8 to the power 3, this power multiplied by this power there, so it's going to be 3 times 3 times 15, and this power will multiply by this power, so it's 15 to the power 4 times 3, so it's going to be 8 to the power 6 times by 15 to the power 12. And then let's look at number 6 now. Number 6 is quite different. It's going to be a bracket negative 2 to the power 3. So this one, folks, it's very important. When we look at it in a long way, this way we're going to what is inside the bracket, it repeats itself 3 times, it multiplies itself 3 times. So this is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So negative times negative, it's positive. Positive times negative, it's negative. So the answer is negative. And then 2 times 2, it's 4. Times 2, it's 8. So that's the long way. So the shorter way for that, we going to say the negative integer powered by an odd number. Your answer is going to be negative 2 to the power 3, and then it's going to be negative, and then your negative 2 to the power 3 is what? Is 8. It's easy like that. Okay guys, let's look at another one. Let's look at this one now. Let's look at this one. Let's say it's 1, so it's negative 2 to the power 4. So a negative integer powered by an even number, your answer will be positive. So it's going to be 2 to the power 4, and then 2 to the power 4 is what? Is 16. Or alternatively, we can do it the long way. The long way, we used to say negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That's the long way. So it's going to be positive. If you say negative times negative, positive, positive times negative, negative, negative times negative, it's positive. Then 2 times 2, it's 4, 4 times 2, it's 8, and 8 times 2, it's 16, so it's positive 16. That's the answer there. Now let's look at number 2. Number 2, now there's a negative 2 bracket 2 to the power 4. So this, if you still remember doing the long way, we're going to focus on the bracket. So I'll put the negative 2 there, and then focus on the bracket. It will be negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So this will be negative 32. If you say negative times negative, positive, positive times negative, negative, negative times negative, positive, positive times negative, negative. So and then 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2, 8, 8 times 2, 16, 16 times 2 is 32. So the answer there is 32. It's negative 32, right? But the shorter way for this, negative 2 to the power 4, you can say this negative 2, you put it there and you focus on that bracket. The negative integer to the power of an even number, so it's going to be 2 to the power 4 is going to be positive. And then you have the negative there, and then you add to the powers. You have a 1 and the 4, so it's going to be 1 plus 4, which is it's going to be negative 2 to the power 5, which is negative 32. I hope that makes sense, right? Let's look at this one now. Let's look at this one now. Let's take this one. So we'll have 7 to the power 2, 6. So we know what we do there. We say 7 times 2. And then it's going to be 2 times 6. Sorry, it's going to be 2 times 6, which is going to be 7 to the power 12. Easy. And then let's look at this one. It's 5 to the power 5 times by 9 to the power 4 all to the power 3. So what do we do? Since there's a negative here, since there's a multiplication there, so we'll say 5 to the power 5, and then that 5 we times by 3. So it's 5 times 3, and then times 9 to the power 4, and that 4 we multiply by 3. So it's going to be 5 to the power 15 times by 9 to the power 12. Easy. Easy. And let's look at this nature now. This nature, and it's 1. So it's 7 to the power 2 times by 6 divided by 7 to the power 3. Okay, this involves law 3 and law 2. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to focus here first. So we put the 7, and then we say 2 times 6, 2 times 6, divide by 7 to the power 3. So it's going to be 7 to the power 12 divided by 7 to the power 3. So this is going to be, you take one base there, and then you say 12 minus 3, which is 7 to the power 9. Alternatively, to make it easy, you can say here in the following step, you can say 7 to the power 2 times 6. Since there's a division here, you can say minus 3, which is 2 times 6 is going to be 12. 12 minus 3, it's going to be 7 to the power 9. And then let me do the last example. The very last example. So it's going to be 5 to the power 5 times 9 to the power 4. We've done that, but now it's said there's an additional. So what we do here, we'll say 5 to the power 5 times 3, this times that, and then times 9 to the power 4 times 3, and then times what? 5 to the power 2. So now these two, they have the same base, so it's 5 to the power 15 times 9 to the power 12 times 5 to the power 2. These, they have the same base, so we'll say we just take one base and say 15 plus 2 times 9 to the power 12. That will be 55 to the power 17 times 9 to the power 12. I hope that makes sense. And let's look at now when we have something like this, with let's say it's number 1. Let's say we have 3 plus 4 all to the power 3. When you do that, guys, this is not any of the laws of exponents, or you can fix this. You need to fix this before. You cannot do this. This is not law 4. This is not law 4, right? So what you can do there, you can say 3 plus 4 is what? It's 7. 7 to the power 3, which is 7 to the power 3. It's 7 times 7 times 7. So 7 to the power 3 is 7 to the power 3. It's 343, right? Even, guys, if you had something like this, it's 7 minus 3 to the power, let's say, 2. So this is not any law other than you need to fix what is inside the bracket. So you have to say 7 minus is going to be 4 to the power 2, which is 4 to the power 2 is what? Is 16. I hope this makes perfect sense, grade 8. Now let's look at this one now. Let's look at this one. When we have negative 2 to the power 2 times 6. So what do? We keep the negative there. We'll say 2 to the power 2 times 6, which is going to be negative 2 to the power 12. Yeah,